Inger Stevens had encountered multiple hardships in the years before her death. While shooting for the film, Cry Terror, in New York City's Hudson Tubes, Stevens and 11 other people on set suffered from carbon monoxide poisoning. Co-star Rod Steiger had stated that Stevens had tried to decline initial medical intervention at the scene, claiming that she wanted to die. After a New Year's Eve party, Stevens unsuccessfully attempted to commit suicide at her New York City apartment on New Year's Day 1959. She had reportedly attempted her suicide by ingesting 25 sleeping pills and drinking ammonia in her apartment. When she was subsequently rushed to the hospital, it was discovered that blood clots had developed in her lungs, and her legs were severely swollen. After surviving the suicide attempt and being rendered blind temporarily for 2 weeks, Stevens would later give loneliness as the explanation for her attempt at taking her life, once stating, "Sometimes I get so lonely I could scream." Stevens was later involved as a passenger in the crash of a Boeing 707 flight in Lisbon, Portugal, in 1961. The aircraft's nose gear had collapsed while attempting to land, and the aircraft was ignited. Inger Stevens was one of the last people on board to be rescued. When discussing the traumatic event during an interview, Stevens stated, "The plane started burning, and I thought I would be burned alive. Somehow, I escaped, and it feels as if I am on borrowed time." During her life, Inger Stevens was troubled with many romantic issues, including a spoiled romance to Man on Fire co-star Bing Crosby, and a turbulent marriage to Anthony Salio in 1955 that lasted only 4 months. They would officially divorce in 1958. Stevens was noted in another interview to assert that along with the disastrous predicaments she was in, she would frequently feel depressed over her troubling upbringing, love life, and loneliness. At around 10 a.m. on the morning of April 30, 1970, Inger Stevens was found lying face down on the kitchen floor of her apartment in the Hollywood Hills neighborhood of Laurel Canyon. Stevens was discovered by her roommate, Lola McNally, who provided rented living to Stevens. McNally said that she called out Stevens' name, and Stevens attempted to respond but couldn't, only opening her eyes and raising her head. McNally, in addition, stated that she believed Stevens was still breathing, and she contacted emergency services around this time. Inger Stevens was rushed to a nearby hospital by ambulance, being declared dead upon arrival at the age of 35. A post-mortem examination revealed Stevens' cause of death to be due to an acute intoxication of the barbiturate tedral in combination with alcohol. Due to Stevens' previous suicide attempt and history of depression, her death was deemed to be a suicide. Inger Stevens' body was cremated, and her ashes were scattered over the Pacific Ocean.